So, I want you to close your eyes for a second. Just imagine I've just walked into your office. Maybe you're a production manager or a VP of operations, or really just someone trying to keep a business afloat.
Right.
And I take this heavy binder, I slap it on your desk, and I say 3 words to you: enterprise resource planning.
Oh, man. I can practically hear the collective groan from here.
It is a physical reaction, right? You probably flinch just hearing it, because for most people in manufacturing, ERP is basically a 4-letter word.
Oh, absolutely.
It creates this instant mental image of gray screens, endless rows of tiny text, clicking through, I don't know, 20 submenus just to find a single part number.
Yeah, software that looks like it was designed when dial-up internet was still the cutting edge.
Exactly. It's the clunky factor. Expensive, boring, difficult to learn, stuck in the late 90s. It's basically the software you use because you have to, not because you want to.
It's the vegetables of the software world.
That is exactly it. But today we are going to challenge that reflex. We're doing a deep dive into something that claims to not just, update that experience, but fundamentally rebuild it from the studs up.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking at BMS-One today. And the promise here in the source material is pretty bold. They're saying they've built an AI native ERP that actually runs on your desktop, talks to you in plain English, and this is the part I'm still sort of wrapping my head around, works the night shift while you sleep.
Yeah, that night shift concept is really the hook for me, too. But you're right. This isn't just a patch. It's not a shiny new interface on an old system.
Right.
The sources from BMS 365 make it very clear that this is a ground-up reconstruction. They've taken 2 decades of expertise from Visual ERP, which, is a staple in the industry, and they just rebuilt it into something totally new.
And before we get too deep into the magic features, we should really set the context on who these guys are.
Good idea.
Because in manufacturing, trust is literally everything. You don't hand your factory keys to a startup that just learned how to spell supply chain yesterday.
No, definitely not.
BMS 365 was founded in 2006. They have over 94 clients. And we aren't talking about mom and pop shops making keychains here.
No, if you look at the client list in the briefing, we're talking aerospace, space exploration, medical equipment, oil and gas.
Really high-stakes stuff.
Extremely high stakes. I mean, if you're making parts for a rocket engine or a pacemaker, glitchy software isn't just an annoyance. It is a massive liability.
Yeah.
Precision is the currency in those worlds. So when a company with that kind of pedigree releases a new platform, it implies they've really battle-tested it.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We need to figure out how BMS-One balances that need for extreme precision, what we might call the aerospace standard, with this crazy new world of AI and automation. And frankly, I want to know if talking to your data is actually useful or if it's just a gimmick. Because I'm skeptical.
Right.
I've seen a lot of AI tools that are really just glorified search bars.
It is a totally fair skepticism. Let's see if we can convert you today.
All right, let's do it. So to understand where they're going, we have to look at where they came from. The documents describe a shift in philosophy from building to assembling. Help us decode that. What does that actually mean for an operations director listening to this who just wants their inventory to match their books?
So think about the old way of customizing an ERP. Let's say you have a specific problem. You need a better way to track job costing for a specific product line. Or maybe you need a custom audit tool.
Okay.
In the old model, that's a construction project. You hire a developer, they come in, they charge you by the hour, usually a lot of hours, and they build a custom app from scratch.
Which takes months and usually goes way over budget.
Months. And the cost is entirely unpredictable. But the worst part, it becomes an island.
An island.
Yeah, that new app doesn't share logic with your inventory app or your shipping app. It's isolated code. So if you update the core system, the custom app breaks. It is a maintenance nightmare.
It's like adding a room to your house, but the electrician didn't talk to the plumber, and now you can't flush the toilet without the lights dimming.
That is a painfully perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Yes. So BMS-One is flipping that entirely. They call it assembling. They've moved to a modular architecture.
Okay.
So they aren't reinventing the wheel every single time a client needs a tool. They have a library of proven modules that all share a common foundation.
I was actually looking at that library in the notes. 39 specialized modules.
Yeah.
That is a massive toolkit.
It really is. And because they share that exact same foundation, updates ripple through everything.
Oh, I see.
If they improve the math on how labor is calculated in the core, then the labor analytics module gets better, the job costing module gets better, the fin board gets better simultaneously.
So it's scalable. You aren't buying a giant monolith with all these features you'll never ever use. You literally plug in the blocks you need.
Exactly.
I saw modules in there for inventory recon, dunning letters, which, by the way, is a great phrase. I know it's strictly about debt collection, but it sounds like something straight out of Harry Potter.
It really does.
And labor analytics, it just feels like they took 20 years of specific, painful complaints from clients and turned each one into a plug-and-play block.
That's the real benefit of the assemble, don't build mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But for the tech heads listening, we do have to talk about the engine driving this. They built this 100% on .NET 10.
Which brings up a debate I see all the time in software. Everything's moving to the browser now, right? SaaS is king.
Right.
So why in the world would you go back to a desktop application? Isn't that a step backward?
It definitely sounds like it at first.
Yeah.
We were so used to cloud first automatically meaning browser only.
Yeah.
But look at the performance requirements here.
Yeah.
If you're running a CRM or a simple chat app, the browser's totally fine. But manufacturing is data heavy. The capabilities document actually mentions clustering 3 million rows just for trend detection.
3 million rows, that is a massive data set to just scroll through on a screen.
Try rendering 3 million interactive rows in Chrome.
Oh, it would crash.
It'll melt your RAM. Your fan will sound like a jet engine taking off. So by sticking to a modern desktop app with .NET 10, they get direct access to the hardware. They get raw power.
Makes sense.
You don't have that latency of waiting for the browser to render the DOM. In a high-volume manufacturing environment, speed implies stability.
So it's like a muscle car versus a commuter sedan. You want the muscle car when you're hauling that kind of heavy data.
Exactly. And it also speaks to longevity. Web frameworks change every 6 months. A solid desktop application built on .NET is designed to run for years without needing a constant rewrite.
Okay, so the engine is solid, but the driver, that is where things get really interesting in this deep dive. We need to talk about the AI native design.
AI native, I know it's a buzzword.
It is a huge buzzword. I feel like my toaster probably has AI right now. Usually it just means there's a little chatbot in the corner of the screen that can answer FAQs or help you reset your password.
Yeah.
How is this different? Why should a VP of operations care about this?
That is the key distinction. Most AI in business software today is a sidecar. It's just bolted on after the fact. It basically just reads a help manual.
Right.
But BMS-One claims AI is a core service layer. It was built in from day one. It has hooks into the actual methods of the ERP. It's not just reading the screen. It can actually execute commands. It understands the fundamental structure of the data, not just the text on the page.
Which leads to the feature that I think is the real game changer here, natural language ERP queries. The ability to ask a complex business question in plain English and get a real actionable answer.
No SQL required.
Yeah.
No navigating 10 different menus, just asking.
I want to walk through the example from the source material, because if I just describe it broadly, it sounds like magic. But the specificity is what sold me on this being more than just a gimmick.
The titanium example.
Yes, the titanium example. So let's role play this a bit. I'm the user. I type into the system, which jobs lost money last quarter and why?
Okay.
Now, in a normal system, what do you get when you ask that? A list of jobs, maybe some red text for negative numbers if you're lucky.
Right. And then you, the human, have to open each one of those jobs, pull the invoices, check the time cards, and figure out what actually happened. It becomes a massive research project.
But here, the AI comes back instantly. It says, found 12 jobs with negative margins. But then it breaks it down for you. It says, top 3 losses. First one, WO4521 for ACME. Loss, $18,200.
And here is the absolute kicker. It gives the reason right there. It says, material cost overrun on titanium.
It identified the driver. It didn't just say materials were high. It said titanium. It knew that was the specific variable that blew the budget on that job.
And look at the next one on the list. WO4489. Loss, $12,400. The reason? 140% excess labor hours. It's doing the forensic accounting instantly. It is connecting the dots between the financial loss and the operational cause on the floor.
And the third one was a scrap rate issue, 22% scrap, which is painful just to read. But then the AI did something that actually really surprised me. It offered a suggestion. It said, review estimating on titanium jobs.
That is a big shift from search to intelligence. It noticed a pattern. Titanium was the common variable in the big losses. So it suggested a process improvement.
Yeah.
That is not a database query. That's a junior consultant sitting inside your computer.
Think about the time savings there. To get to that conclusion manually, to realize we need to review titanium, estimating how long does that take a production manager to figure out?
Hours.
Honestly, maybe days. They'd have to pull the P&L, identify all the losers, pull the work orders, check the material logs, compare them to the original estimate. It's a massive friction point.
Yeah. Most of the time, that analysis never even happens because nobody has the time to sit down and do it. The AI collapsed that entire workflow into seconds.
It moves the user from being a data gatherer to a decision maker.
Exactly. You aren't spending your time finding the data anymore. You are spending your time fixing the actual problem.
Which brings us to the feature that honestly scares me a little bit. In a good way, though. The night shift.
Unattended operations.
Right. The idea that the software just keeps working when everyone goes home.
Yeah.
Because manufacturing never really sleeps, even if the people do.
This addresses a fundamental truth about manufacturing.
Yeah.
There is just never enough time in the day to check everything. You are always putting out fires.
Always.
You never have time to fireproof the building. You focus on getting the physical orders out the door, not reconciling the books perfectly.
So walk us through the timeline from the notes, because it really paints a vivid picture of what efficiency looks like in this new world.
Picture this. It's 5:00 p.m. The shop floor is quieting down. The production manager, let's just call him Dave, schedules his jobs in BMS-One, turns off the lights, and goes home to his family. The office is dark.
But the server is wide awake.
Exactly. 2:00 a.m. hits. The worker service kicks in. This is the heavy lifting. It runs the reconciliations. It crunches the massive data sets. It updates the cost layers.
Okay.
It's doing all the stuff that slows down the system during the day if you try to run it while people are actively working.
Okay, so that's the brute force work, just the pure number crunching.
Right. Then at 3:00 a.m., the AI wakes up. It starts analyzing the exceptions from all that data. It's checking the math, looking for anomalies. It's doing the thinking. It's looking at those 3 million rows and asking itself, what looks wrong here?
And then at 6:00 a.m., the sun is coming up. Dave is pouring his first cup of coffee at his kitchen table. Ping. An email hits his phone. The morning digest.
And this isn't some generic job complete notification. It isn't a system status okay message. It's a prioritized hit list.
I actually have the sample digest here from the sources. It is incredibly specific. It says 3 AP exceptions found, total variance, $4,210. Boom. Money leaking right there on his phone.
It flagged inventory issues too. CU4401 and CU7822. And look at this one. Work order WO5012 is overdue by 12 hours.
So instead of walking into the office at 8 a.m. and spending the first 3 hours just digging through reports, or even worse, finding out about that overdue work order when the angry customer inevitably calls.
Exactly. Dave walks in knowing exactly what to fix immediately. He starts his day solving problems, not finding them. It effectively adds an employee to your team who works for free overnight with perfect accuracy.
That sounds utopian, really does. And you knew there was a but coming.
I can definitely guess what it is.
We started this conversation talking about aerospace, space exploration, medical devices.
ITAR.
Yes, ITAR. These are industries where security isn't just a compliance checkbox for HR, it is federal law. You cannot just take your proprietary blueprints for a new rocket engine, paste them into ChatGPT, and hope for the best.
Absolutely not. That is the biggest barrier to AI adoption in these sectors right now. The question is always, where is my data going? And if the answer is murky at all, the answer is no.
So how does BMS-One handle that? Because if the answer is, oh, it just goes to the public cloud, the conversation is over for these clients right now.
They utilize a hybrid architecture. And honestly, this is really the only way to do it right now for regulated industries. The application runs locally. Your SQL data, your crown jewels, your pricing, your BOMs, your proprietary formulas, that all stays on your local network. It never leaves your server.
Okay, so the core data is totally locked down, but it uses Azure OpenAI GPT 5.3 to answer the questions. So how does it answer if it doesn't have the data?
It uses an enterprise service layer. Think of it like a highly secure reading room. When you ask that question about the titanium, the relevant context is sent to the cloud, processed by the logic model, the brain basically, and the answer is sent back.
I see.
But, and this is the crucial part explicitly mentioned in the compliance details, Microsoft does not store that data. They do not use your prompts to train their models.
So my proprietary titanium formula isn't teaching the AI how to help my competitor next week.
Precisely. BMS-One is very explicit about this. They are aerospace compliance ready. They support ITAR international traffic and arms regulations and CMMC, which is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification.
They also mentioned something called code signing with DigiCert Extended Validation, or EV. For the non-technical listener, translate that. Why do I care about a certificate?
Think of it like a wax seal on a royal decree, but digital. It guarantees authenticity. It means the software you are installing is confirmed to be from BMS 365 and hasn't been tampered with by a hacker somewhere in the supply chain. It prevents those scary unknown publisher warnings Windows throws up. It's the highest standard of trust you can get for a desktop app.
And on the internal side, because sometimes the threat is actually inside the building, they talk about granular access control.
Right. Because just because you have an AI doesn't mean the summer intern should be able to ask, what is the CEO's salary? Or what are our margins on this top secret project?
Yeah, that would be bad.
Administrators can define permissions down to the field level. You can control exactly who sees what screen, what module, or even what specific box on a form. And everything is logged.
If it isn't documented, it didn't happen.
Exactly. In regulated industries, that audit trail is everything.
So we've got the power, the intelligence, the automation, and the security lockdown. But there's one more layer the deep dive material focuses on: the visual experience. They talk about moving beyond spreadsheets.
This is where the visual in their history really comes out. Humans are visual creatures. We are terrible at spotting patterns in a spreadsheet with 10,000 rows. We are great at spotting patterns in a picture.
BMS-One uses these interactive network graphs. I was looking at the supply chain mapping example. It literally looks like a constellation.
It does. Imagine seeing your entire supply chain as a web. You can trace a part from the vendor, through the production line, all the way out to the customer.
Wow.
If there's bottlenecks, say, a machine is down, that specific node glows red. You see the ripple effect immediately.
So it's dynamic.
And it's interactive. You don't just look at it. You click on the red dot, say it's work order 501, and it drills straight into the details.
Okay.
The visualization isn't just a static report, it's your actual navigation tool. It bridges the gap between high-level strategy, like where are we slow, and low-level execution, like go fix WO501 or WO502.
It also mentions financial hierarchies, viewing the chart of accounts as an interactive tree.
Which is so much better than a flat list. You can see the entire structure of your finances. You see parent and child relationships. It makes the data entirely clickable.
It really feels like a cohesive ecosystem. From the night shift prep to the morning digest, right through to the visual problem solving during the day. But before we wrap up, I do want to look at the roadmap. What is next? Because technology moves incredibly fast, and if you aren't moving forward, you're backing up.
The next phase is real-time dashboards. Live shop floor visibility embedded right into the desktop app. Seeing machine utilization as it happens, basically watching the heartbeat of the factory.
That is huge for transparency. But the future item they listed, that is the sci-fi stuff, multi-agent orchestration.
This is the frontier of AI right now. Today, we have one agent answering questions. It's a generalist. Multi-agent orchestration means you have specialized AI agents. Imagine an AI scheduler, an AI purchaser, and an AI quality control manager.
And they talk to each other.
They collaborate. The scheduling agent might notice a job is running late and tell the purchasing agent, hey, we need materials faster. And the purchasing agent checks the budget and says, okay, I'll expedite the shipping on the titanium.
Without a human having to broker that meeting.
Exactly. They solve complex tasks together. It is moving towards a truly autonomous enterprise.
That is wild. It's exciting. But it definitely forces you to rethink the entire structure of a company. It's moving from using software to managing digital workers.
It really does. BMS-One is bridging that gap. They are keeping the legacy reliability, the stuff that actually keeps the lights on, the desktop power, the SQL security. But they're proving you don't have to throw out your servers to get this modern intelligence.
It brings me to a final thought for everyone listening. We are moving from a world where we simply use software, clicking buttons, entering data, fighting with the interface, to a world where we are collaborating with it.
That is the shift.
So here is the question for you to mull over. If your ERP can critique your estimates on titanium, if it can work the night shift while you sleep and have a report waiting for you at breakfast, is it still just software? Or is it actually your newest, most efficient employee?
That is the question every business leader needs to ask themselves right now. Because if you aren't hiring that AI employee, your competitor probably is.
A huge thank you to our listeners for joining us on this deep dive into BMS-One. If you want to see what the future of manufacturing looks like, or maybe you just want to hand off your own night shift to an AI so you can finally get some sleep, check them out at bms365.com.
Until next time, keep learning.
See you on the next deep dive.